Okay, first of all, I know the history behind the WNBA. I know that both of those cities have had teams before and they got us where we're at, so I'm thankful for that.
Some athletes play their whole careers and you never really know them. You see the stats, you see the highlights, maybe a post-game interview where they say all the right things, and that's it. Sophie Cunningham is not that kind of athlete, not even close. This is the story of a woman who got dropped into the most chaotic, most watched, most debated situation in women's basketball, and instead of shrinking, instead of playing it safe, she grabbed the whole thing by the throat and made it her own. And what she revealed along the way about her teammates, about the league, about herself, genuinely changed how a lot of people see women's basketball. So let's go back to January 2025, because that's where this whole thing really begins. Cunningham had spent 6 years in Phoenix. 6 years of being the tough, gritty, shoot-first guard who nobody messed with. She built a career on being reliable and fearless, and she was comfortable there. Then one morning the phone rings and her entire world shifts. She's been traded to the Indiana Fever as part of a massive 10-team deal that sent shockwaves through the entire league. Now, the Fever aren't just any team. This is Caitlin Clark's team, the team with more cameras pointed at it, more opinions swirling around it, and more national attention than any franchise in WNBA history. You don't just quietly slot into that. There's no easing in. You land, and the spotlight is already on you. And for Cunningham, it started rough. She tweaked her ankle in the preseason and missed her debut until late May. Then just days after finally getting on the floor, she rolled it again and missed another 2 weeks. Think about that for a second. New city, new coach, new teammates, new system. And your body keeps letting you down before you can even show anyone what you're made of. Those early weeks were genuinely uncertain. The chemistry wasn't there yet. The rhythm wasn't clicking. There were real questions being asked about whether this trade was going to work out at all. But here's the thing about Sophie Cunningham. She doesn't stay down. Just before the All-Star break, she was moved into the starting lineup, and something just unlocked. Over the next 13 games, she averaged over 11 points a night and shot better than 51% from the field. That's not just finding your footing. That's announcing yourself. The Fever had their enforcer, and she was only just getting warmed up, because what happened on June 17th turned Sophie Cunningham from a basketball player into a cultural moment. The Fever were hosting the Connecticut Sun, and it had been one of those physical, chippy games where every possession felt like a negotiation. In the third quarter, Sun guard J.C. Sheldon reached in and poked Caitlin Clark directly in the eye. Dirty play or not, the refs moved on. Game kept going, and Sophie Cunningham filed that moment away. 1 quarter later, she grabbed Sheldon and pulled her clean off her feet and onto the floor in front of the entire arena. Ejected immediately. No hesitation, no apologies. The building went absolutely wild. And then the internet did too. Overnight, her Instagram exploded. Her TikTok went from 300,000 followers to over 1,200,000 in a matter of hours. She was trending everywhere. People who had never watched a WNBA game in their lives were suddenly very interested in Sophie Cunningham. When the press asked her about it, she didn't flinch. She said she was there to protect her teammates. That was her job, and she had zero regrets. The league fined her around $900. She probably made that back in merchandise sales before the press conference was even over. But here's where it gets genuinely fascinating, because the viral moment was just the entry point. What came after revealed so much more about who she actually is. A few weeks later, she launched a podcast called Show Me Something alongside her childhood friend, reality TV personality Wes Wilson. And from the very first episode, it was clear she wasn't going to be careful with her words. She started talking about her time in Phoenix, and specifically about something that had been whispered about for months, but never confirmed out loud. She said that back when she was still with the Mercury, There were actual conversations happening in locker rooms across the league about how to handle Caitlin Clark in her rookie year. Deliberate targeting, a calculated effort to make Clark feel the weight of the WNBA, to let her know this wasn't college anymore. Cunningham said she understood the rookie initiation culture to a point. That's just how the league works. But she also said that with Clark, it had gone way beyond that. And the moment that hit hardest was when she said that if she thought it had gone too far, it had almost certainly gone too far. Because Sophie Cunningham is not someone who scares easily. She's not someone who cries foul without reason. Coming from her, those words weren't a hot take or content farming. They were a confession from someone who had been inside those rooms. The internet grabbed onto that clip and would not let go, and she kept going. On another episode, she went directly after anyone still questioning Caitlin Clark's impact on the sport. No diplomatic framing, no both sidesing it. She basically said that if you genuinely believe the WNBA would be where it is right now without Caitlin Clark, then you are simply wrong. She was careful to say she wasn't putting anyone else down. She respected every player in the league. But pretending Clark hadn't transformed women's basketball made no sense to her, and she said it with the kind of directness that makes people uncomfortable because it leaves no room to argue. For a league that had spent over a year in a complicated internal debate about Clark's role and reception, hearing that from a veteran who had literally been on both sides of the divide, it landed differently than anything a pundit or analyst could have said. But then, right when you think you have her figured out as this fierce, outspoken, take no prisoners personality, she does something that reframes everything. In November, with her one-year contract already expired and no new deal signed, Sophie Cunningham showed up to volunteer at the Aaron Naismith's charity dinner in Indianapolis. She was mic'd up, the camera caught her looking out over a room full of families waiting to be served, and she said, "This is what we're here for. We're here for you." No contract, no obligation, no paycheck. She just showed up, rolled up her sleeves, and served people. Fever fans lost their minds. The clip spread just as fast as the Sheldon takedown. Except this time, the reaction wasn't hype. It was genuine love. People in the comments were begging the organization to sign her forever. And it made complete sense because it connected directly back to who she's always been. She grew up on a farm in Columbia, Missouri, where the values she talks about weren't abstract. Hard work, faith, showing up for people. Those things were just Tuesday. The charity dinner wasn't a brand move. It was completely consistent with who she's been her whole life. And then came the moment that maybe humanized Caitlin Clark more than anything Clark herself had ever said publicly. Someone asked Cunningham on a podcast to share her favorite story about her new teammate, and she smiled and called her a big old dork. That was the word she used. She said that when you're about to meet someone carrying that much fame around them, you brace yourself. You expect a wall, a performance, someone who's very aware of their own image. What she found instead was someone completely goofy and humble and real. Someone who genuinely just loves basketball and gets weird about it in the most endearing way. For millions of fans who only ever see Clark through sponsorship deals and nationally televised press conferences, that description felt like the most honest, unguarded thing anyone had said about her. And the off-court dynamic between the two of them became its own storyline. When someone asked Cunningham which teammate she'd least trust running her social media, she answered without a pause. Caitlin Clark. 1,000%, she said, because Clark would absolutely post something designed to start chaos, and then sit back and watch the fire spread. She said it with pure affection. And if you've seen how these two actually interact online, constant inside jokes, mutual trolling, completely unserious energy, you believe every word of it. They became genuinely one of the most fun teammate pairings anyone had seen in women's sports in years. But underneath all the laughs, the season was quietly falling apart. By August, the Fever were drowning in injuries. Clark herself was battling a groin injury, a bone bruise, and a quad strain, and eventually only appeared in 13 games all year. 5 players total were eventually ruled out for the season. At one point, the roster was so thin they qualified for an emergency hardship exception. And Cunningham, who had finally built something real in that starting lineup, had her own season ended on August 17th when Connecticut's Bria Hartley stumbled into her leg and tore her MCL. Surgery. Season over. The woman who had become the emotional engine of that team, who had fought her way into the lineup and averaged over 11 points a game as a starter, was suddenly watching from the bench in street clothes as her decimated teammates somehow pushed the Las Vegas Aces to 5 games in the semifinals. That team showed something remarkable in those playoffs. But for Cunningham, watching it without being able to do anything had to be its own kind of pain. What happened next was almost as interesting as the season itself. Contract expired. Free agency uncertain because the collective bargaining agreement negotiations had completely stalled. Cunningham signed with Project B, a new global touring league, for over $2 million a year. That's roughly 8 times what the WNBA's top salary had been. She didn't walk away from the idea of returning to Indiana. She made it clear she wanted to come back. But she also wasn't going to stand still. She built out the podcast, expanded her social media brand, picked up sponsorships, and started constructing a career that stretched well beyond any one league or season. And then came the detail that really put a bow on the year. Google released their annual year-end search, and Sophie Cunningham appeared at number 7 among the most searched athletes in the entire United States. Caitlin Clark, who had held that spot the year before, wasn't on the list at all. When someone brought it up on her podcast, she didn't do a victory lap. She said it felt kind of cool being the only woman in the top 10, but almost immediately started thinking out loud about Clark's absence from the list, noting that Clark had only played 13 games and suggesting that probably explained it. Not gloating, just thinking about her teammate. That reaction, quiet and unperformed, said more about her character than any of the viral moments ever could. The CBA was finally settled in mid-March 2026 and free agency opened, which means her return to Indianapolis is now actually on the table. The 2026 season tips off May 8th. Clark is fully healthy and just wrapped up the FIBA Women's World Cup qualifying tournament, where she led Team USA in every major stat and took home MVP. The Fever are expected to have their deepest, healthiest roster in years. And Sophie Cunningham is waiting to find out if she gets to be part of it. Fans have been relentless in pushing the organization to bring her back. Clark has reportedly made her feelings known to the front office. And the whole situation has become one of the most watched storylines heading into the new season. Whatever happens, this much is absolutely clear. Sophie Cunningham came to Indianapolis as a trade piece and left as something the league hadn't quite seen before. She told the truth when it was easier to stay quiet. She protected her teammate when nobody was asking her to. She showed up to feed strangers when she had no contract and no reason to. That's not a character someone performs. That's just who a person is. And that, more than any stat or viral clip or search ranking, is exactly why people cannot stop paying attention to her.